Cristina Herrera is currently the project coordinator at the Gender Community Prevention at the center that is the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community, the center. Cristina has been working in the field of prevention, advocacy, and community organizing over 13 years, even though she looks like she's 18. She currently serves as a board member of Lorena Borja's organization Community Fund, coordinator and facilitator of the initiative TRANSLATINA network. Thank you, Cristina. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you so much for that introduction. So now I'm going to go ahead and introduce you.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it nice and active.
You don't have to say all the things that I am.
I'm going to say the most important ones. So you're a Translatina, originally from Argentina, by the way, I'm Miami. She's currently the Trans Health Program Coordinator at Aperture Community Health Center. Cecilia has worked at the Gender Identity Project in one capacity or other since 2011 as a volunteer, intern, and now a consultant, facilitating groups, organizing and working on prevention, harm reduction, and self-empowerment focusing mostly on undocumented Translatina, a reality she lived for many years. Ms. Gentili has also been a board of Trans Bodies, a non-for-profit organization about published, a non-profit organization about to publish a trans resource guide, Bodies of Trans Health.
Yeah, it's Trans Bodies, Trans Health. It's an awesome book that is about to come out, and it's gonna go nationally. And for those that have the opportunity to buy it, it would be a great opportunity to get resources all over the U.S. And for those that don't, you can always ask Trans Bodies, Trans Cells to donate.
So the focus will be, to use it as especially like a textbook in colleges around gender studies, and it's also going to be, addressing the different needs of trans people and gender non-conforming people from different lenses, around recovery, around interaction with the criminal justice system, around coming out to families. It's going to have different topics, support for family members and partners. So going back to Cecilia, she received her education at the National University of Rosario in music studies and worked as a music teacher for special needs children. So she has a lot of history.
A lot of skills.
Yes.
How did I go to art school and I end up working in services?
We'll know a little bit about that here.
It just happened. What are our goals for today? What are we trying to say? That's what I was saying. First of all, what does it mean to be a transgender? And many of us may know or may have an understanding. Some of us don't. So we're going to try to conversate about the trans identity. We're going to talk about community-based moral approach by Aperture, that is where I work, and by the center, that is where Cristina works. Tools that promote peer development, very important. Creation of effective transgender affirming spaces, super important. Addressing medical conditions and mental health concerns. And in the second part, we're going to be working effectively with the LGBT immigrants and networking and enhancing provider collaborators.
Or what do people around us think of when they hear the word transgender or the term like transgender community? What are some things? And they don't have to all be good. Let's also think about some of the the not so good words when it comes to that. Who wants to volunteer?
So if I say transgender,
I know a lot of people always say the word it.
Mm-hmm.
all right. Transgender,
I think it was a man wanting to be a woman or a woman wanting to be a man. That's right. I don't know about right, but
Transgender.
I look at it straight up and down, honest human being. That's what I see, a person, a human being.
Transgender.
I think courage.
One more.
Anyone-
Trans.
I don't like that. Trans.
You
Sounds
don't.
like a car.
Let's get one last one.
One
which
more.
is him.
All the colors of the rainbow.
Uh-huh.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the honesty.
That's
Yes.
it.
Perfect. So now we're gonna go into the term, into the community. What do we think of, or what does the world think of when they hear, LGBT immigrant?
Same thing. LGBT immigrant.
Yes, say it. I don't think too much. Just say it.
Struggle,
Struggle.
Uh-huh.
LGBT immigrant.
lost,
Lost.
Uh-huh.
LGBT immigrant.
discrimination.
Misunderstood.
Discrimination.
Discrimination.
Worry.
Worry.
Uh-huh.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else?
Thank you.
Poverty. Poverty.
Hidden.
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 Exactly.
Judgmental.
Judgmental.
Right.
Prostitution.
Uh-huh.
Prostitution.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now we're taking it a lot more. How does the media see, right? How does the media? What else does the media portray us
Us.
us as being an LGBT immigrant?
Misinformed.
Uneducated.
Uneducated. Prostitution, somebody says.
Not
confused,
Not
Confused.
Opinionated.
No welcome.
Not legal.
Not legal.
Opinionated.
Opinionated.
is opinionated.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened, Christina, with all these? Unfortunately, sometimes people that are trans or are immigrants end up believing what people think about them. Right?
So low self-esteem.
Yeah, and it's a lot, it goes straight to your self-esteem. So now,
I had to share a little bit more about that because the link didn't register. So.
okay, so I have to tap and dance.
It's tall.
How important it is to think about these thoughts that we have when it comes to a trans person or to an immigrant, and sometimes when it comes to a trans person that happens to be an immigrant, not to impact them with we think, with what we think. Because if I have the idea of a transgender person and I relate it to sex work or prostitution, that does not cover the whole trans community. And trust me, I am the biggest ally of sex workers. I think that, sex work is your choice, yay. But it's not the reality of all transgender immigrants. So how do we approach somebody that is trans or is not an immigrant with any kind of judgment and any kind of I used to have this word in my mind for a long time, or any kind of judgment. Exactly, that's exactly what it is. So that's what we're trying to do today. So let's see who is Cristina Herrera. She's nobody yet.
Follow
silent.
NPR on Twitter.
You know that by heart. Come on.
Yeah.
From the best of NPR stories and the song of the day to tweets from our hosts, your source for great NPR content.
Transition stories for transgender people are all different. While Rajinder Naransingh went far and took risks, we're about to hear two transition stories that come from different generations and from very different places. Cristina Herrera began her transition from male to female when she was 16 years old. At the time, Cristina was living in New York City during the height of the AIDS epidemic. She watched as the disease devastated her community. A self-titled TRANSLATINA, Cristina shares her journey from living as a young boy in El Salvador to becoming a strong woman living in New York.
My name is Cristina Herrera, and I am a community organizer. I came to the U.S. when I was 11 years old. I'm originally from El Salvador, and I began to really start to explore who I was, and I wasn't really getting the support that I needed from family. I was feminine. There were just certain things about me, like, I used to love to cook. I wouldn't play sports, and I used to love to clean, and certain things about me, they were like very feminine overall, and so they used to question it. My stepfather, he would ask me, he would be like, "Are you queer?" And back then, the word queer wasn't used in a way that was very, positive. And I would be like, maybe, who knows, possibly. But I couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't really tell people what it was. And I don't think it was going to really get me anywhere. I couldn't really be like, I was beginning to cross-dress or anything. That wasn't going to be a safe thing to say to family. I was dependent on them. Yeah, I was living in like a suburban area of Los Angeles. Then I moved to the South Bronx, not knowing where I was going. So that was very shocking for me. In the mid-'80s, New York was not a very nice place, especially when you're, as someone that's coming in with very little resources. We didn't have a lot of access to services. Like in my case, I didn't know what was being, a transsexual, because, you couldn't suddenly go to a library and look something up like that. There might be repercussions. And so one of my coworkers, he had a trans girlfriend, and he confided in me that she was a trans woman and that she was going to be able to help me with my own medical transition. And she took me to a surgeon in New Jersey who started me in hormones under the age of 18, but back then they didn't really ask for ID. And my aunt discovered that I was taking medications and my breasts were beginning to develop, and so she checked my chest and she felt something different, something growing, and so then she told my mom, and so they were not very happy because I guess they were kind of ready to have like a gay nephew, but then it was like, wait a minute, there's more to that. It's not that. So as I began to transition medically, people were beginning to die of AIDS, and so it was very scary, and people around me began to get sick, and so and one of those persons was that friend that introduced me to the life that I'm celebrating, and so other people in my immediate circle, they started to also get sick, and they passed away. It's like you wanted to build community, but at the same time there was like a constant loss of community and histories. And I hear that a lot with the community that I work with. It's like our history is constantly being like erased. We have very few people who are staying around, who are living longer than past 40 due to violence or illness are high. So being a trans-Latina for me is a sense of overall pride of the fact that many of us might cross multiple borders, in search for freedom, in search of safety to make our dreams come true, and we make it. Thinking about my community, like trans-Latina, I associate it with strength.
Cristina still lives in New York. She works at the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Community Center in New York City and is also the founder of the TRANSLATINA network. Go to our website for more on the network.
Transgender as an umbrella that can cover every kind of identity in a minute. Identities as a female to male, transgender, a male to female, transgender, somebody like to call themselves transsexual, and that should be okay for them. You have to respect. If somebody want to call themselves transsexual, should be okay. Pre-op, post-op, somebody that went through sexual reassignment surgery. So we can put them all under a transgender umbrella. Trans man, trans woman, genderqueer. Genderqueer, I don't identify with any gender. I don't want to be put in any, box. So cool, no problem. Let me give you the best services that I can. Right? Bigender, gender fluid. Some people fluctuate their gender, and one day feel more masculine, then one day feel more feminine. Which we have like many, and it's a lot more terminology that is not here. What we're trying to say that gender, what goes in between the idea of being a male and the idea of being a female, it is a lot of things in the middle that we have to consider. And sometimes people that are going to come asking for our services, they're not going to be all the way in the masculine with the masculine idea, and it's not going to be all the way in the feminine idea. They're going to be in the middle, and we have to address that. Does it make sense? You were going to say something, sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking as a parent.
Yes.
Because I have a 23-year-old daughter who has just come out. And she pretty much dresses like a male. She doesn't dress like a female anymore. She cut her hair really short. And I've had issues with family members. And my own mother, who's 72. And she kept, tormenting my child, saying, I thought I had a granddaughter. I didn't have a boy, a grandson. And finally my child just, walked over to my mother. She says, okay. She unzipped her pants and that, and she says, I was born with a vagina. Just because I dress masculine doesn't mean that I'm a boy. And you need to stop calling me that. Because they were calling, her name is Alyssa. And they were all the family was calling her Alan. And they were teaching my grandchildren to say, hi, Uncle Alan. And I'm like, that's not fair. That's not right. And it's not just that the hurt of the child, because I hurt for my child, but it hurts me as a parent because I'm new to this, and it's hard for me. I've had gay friends all my life, but to have your own child, and then have other people hurt your child, it's very hard.
It's very hard. But how important it is that you have been able to address this issue, and how important it is that your child had an opportunity to say, stop putting me in this box, or stop putting me in this box. This is who I am, and this is what I want. Right. And that is called empower. Right. That is somebody that has the power to say, this is who I want to be. So because usually when you were born with a certain sex, and then you keep going that way, like let's say somebody was born a female and still consider herself a female, doesn't have this kind of problem. For somebody that does have this kind of issue and like to present in a more masculine way, and like your daughter still consider herself a female, right, but likes to explore all the masculinity that may be interested in, should be addressed, and this person should be empowered to live her life as she wants.
Right. So deep into the services. So that, because we're gonna have it very limited.
Sorry, I get.
No, but it's good. It's good that we're bringing a lot of important stuff. But let's dive in to what you do to help people who are dealing with that, Cecilia.
That's why Christina is awesome, because she always brings me back. Otherwise, we would be here at 10 p.m. So, what do I do? What my program does? 3 components. Medical services. Everybody needs to make sure that the physique is okay. Mental health services. Everybody should be sure that up here is okay. And supportive services. Care coordination. And that's what I do. Next. See how fast I go? Back on time. So what do I do? What do I do as a care coordination when it comes to a transgender person? I facilitate and communicate I facilitate the communication in between the medical providers and the patient, clinical staff, mental health staff, and everybody else that is going to come across this trans person. So let's say you're a trans person, you need a referral, to go to see a podiatrist. I'm going to communicate with the podiatrist, and I'm going to say, I'm going to be sending you, I'm going to totally put you in a spot, Brooke. I'm going to be sending you Brooke. You may find another name in her card, so she wants to be as Brooke and as a she. So what do I do with that little short phone call? I'm making Brooke feel more comfortable to go to the podiatrist and get that food in good health, right?
And I will come back.
I know.
So I feel great.
I also have to take care of everything else. I work a lot. Entitlements. Do you have insurance? Can we get you insured? Are you uninsurable? Let's take the long way. Let's get you an immigration status. Let's get you insurance. Let's get your coverage paid somehow. Specialty referrals. Your PCP, your provider, may send you to different doctors. I make sure that every doctor that you go to is trans savvy or is understanding.
There you go.
So how do I do that? I provide trainings to them. Housing. Unfortunately, I see this every day. Oh, hey, Cecilia. And I go, hey, what's up? You go, nothing. My mom just kicked me out of home because who I am. Housing. It's a lot of housing. Can I give you an apartment? No, I can't. But I can find you a shelter where you can be addressed as the gender that you want. My work is a lot about connections and referring people to the right places. Name change. Some of us, let me finish. Let's go. Just wait.
I just wanted to ask, what are there any shelters in the city that you refer to the most? Because I've worked with people with trans experience in the past, referring them to shelters have been difficult.
And towards the end, we're gonna.
Towards the end, we can have a conversation and we can give you some awesome referrals for that. All right? Just make sure that you talk to me or Christina. Name change. Some of us want to change our names. Some of us, I did change my name a couple of years ago. I was just tired. Of going, going to an airport and they would call, I'm totally disclosing, Alejandro, that was my name, and when Alejandro wake up, we go like, wait a minute, So I changed my name. So when they call Cecilia, I go like this, and nobody say nothing. So, if you want to change your name, I help you with that. Some of us want to change our gender marker. Again, the club. I don't go to clubs no more, but if I happen to want to go to a club, you always go to the... They look at your ID and they see an M, and then they see you, and then it's a whole discrimination thing in the middle,
Ladies' night.
I've been asked to not to get inside the club many times. So yeah. And some of us want to change our gender marker, so I help you do that. I draft a letter, I get it signed by a doctor, I take you to Social Security, and I stay right there, and I go like, change it. So, but that comes with other whole idea of problems that we have to discuss with clients. Like, let's say, for example, if you were born a female and you change your gender to male, God forbid, you get like ovarian cancer, nobody's gonna treat you because you have an M. So you have to have a conversation. It involves a whole conversation. Let's say I get prostate cancer, nobody's gonna treat me because I have an F, right? So when I changed my name, my gender, I made a decision, but it came with a lot of thinking, So you have to, it's not just, oh yeah, let's change your gender. It may come with some barriers also. Immigration, and that's where I have my heart. I was an illegal document for like 10 years in this country, and I live a reality. And so now when somebody comes, like my supervisor was like, oh, why do you spend so much time with this person? I go like, look at the document at the legal status box, and you're gonna see that that's why I put a lot of effort, to my people.
There you go.
And I do my best. And sometimes I win, sometimes I don't.
But you're there.
Yeah. And I co-facilitate groups. Woo, she moved me already, okay.
Supposed to be quick.
Yeah.
The second one that you just ended with, the changing of the sex. Okay. So suppose the female changes to be a male, name and everything, but then they end up with ovarian cancer. How do they become treated?
That's when I come handy.
Or that's when you will come help.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when I come handy. Because I will call insurance, I will find you a doctor that can treat you, I will do anything. And you may not know, but if you have a client in that situation, you can always reach out. From now on, one of the best things that you may take with you is going to be Christina's information and my information. So it's okay not to know all these resources, and it's okay to know that the best thing that you can do is reach out for them because they are there. It is resources.
Okay, thank you.
Physique, your body. What my agency do? Yes, baby.
I have a question. I changed my name legally, okay?
Good for you.
And I'm trying to change, I want to change my name on birth certificate. They want to do that. But to put F on the birth certificate, you have to have the surgery, right? So why do they want documentation from the doctor?
We should have a conversation after this because it is ways. But we can have a we can have a conversation after this.
Do you know how to get around that?
Just you and me. We can call it that way. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
I am the one writing the letters, so I always.
Cecilia.
Go back to the presentation.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. Primary care. What is primary care? In your first visit, you go to a doctor, and in my clinic where I work, we ask you, what was you born with? What is your sex at birth? What is, the gender that you want me to address you to? What is the name in your documentation? What is the name that you want me to call you? And then they come with the 10,001 questions, that is the intake, and then it comes the doctor asking you all your history and asking you what's going on with your body. We do labs right away. We do a lot of vaccinations. Why? Because primary care is about preventing. So if as much as we can give you vaccines for everything, we do. And we do hormone therapy. The famous hormone therapy. Yay! The one that most of trans persons want. Many of us don't want hormone therapy. But if you do want hormone therapy, we do it. Being a unique patient, what is hormone therapy? Hormone therapy is crafted to everybody one by one. It's not just one way to do hormones. It's many ways. And usually hormone therapy goes with the person. What do you want? What results do you want? How do you want to do it? How long do you want it to take? And then we craft a treatment with hormones that is fitted for you. Transition process. What the medical provider does, primary care is about preventing and screening. Primary care is about having a place where you are sick, you can call and see a doctor the same day. Hormone therapy again. Follow-up and monitoring. The timeline is as unique as you. We can ask you to come every 6 months, we can ask you to come every 3 months, we can ask you to come every month until we make sure that you're okay. How do we do this? Very open and respectful communication. And you know what? One of the things that I always say to my clients in the first visit, you know what? I don't know everything. I may make mistakes. Just take the time to respectfully correct me. And I'll take it. Let's do this together. She changed me already. Mental health. I'm going to do it to her. Trust me.
We have a lot to
Mental
get
health
to.
service. we have an initial mental health. Some people believe that to start hormone therapy, you have to go to a psychiatrist, and it's very simple. The hormone treatment, how we see it, it comes with a consent. So as long as you're consenting for therapy, you are allowed to start hormone therapy. But we're also going to make sure that you're okay here. What's going on here? Do you have depression? Do you have anxiety? Do you have issues that you want to talk about?